Okay guys, so we just learned how to play in the key of E, and I'm going to show you something really fun to play along with. But first of all, we're going to talk about what's called the rainbow rule. Okay, we talked about early on about music and how it's associated with our alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And if you look on a piano, you'll see there's a white key, black key, white key, black key, white key, black key, and then there's two white keys together. You wonder why that is? Because there is not a sharp or a flat between those two notes. So real quick, I'm just going to give you the rundown on the rainbow rule. Now the rainbow rule goes back to my favorite Old Testament story. It talks about Noah and the ark, and it talked about he was out there for 40 days and 40 nights and it was flooding, and can you imagine the smell of that place? And I'm sure he was crying out to God, and all of a sudden a dove, a white dove showed up, and he had an olive branch in his mouth, and the olive branch was showing Noah that the water had subsided and there was land, and can you imagine the hope that that brought to him? And the other thing about the olive branch, I'm going to do a little preaching today. The other thing about the olive branch is Jesus was crucified on an olive tree. So everything that you read in the Old Testament, it points towards Jesus Christ, our Savior. And so I like to call this the rainbow rule, because what happened is after it stopped raining, what appeared was a rainbow, and that was God's promise that he would never flood the earth again. So I call this the rainbow rule, and what it is why are there rainbows? And it's because earth flooded. So if I ask you what the rainbow rule is, you say because earth flooded. That means B to C, because, and E to F, earth flooded, are half steps. That's one fret on the guitar. Or it's where the two white keys are on the piano, okay? B to C and E to F are half steps. Everything else is a whole step. And I'm going to show you how that's going to help us in various ways. To start off with, do we need to know the names of all these notes on the fretboard? No, of course not. We don't need to know that. But we could if we use that rule. Because if we started with this low E right here, that would be earth, or E, flooded. E to F is just one fret. So when I play the next note, that's an F, and then the rest of them are whole steps, or two frets. So F to G is a whole step, G to A is a whole step, A to B is a whole step, and then B to C, half step, C to D, whole step, D to E. So we've gone an octave. We started on E, and when you get to the 12th fret where the double dots are, that's an octave, and we're back to E again. Now we skipped over some of these notes when we did the whole step, like we were here, E, F, and G. Well, this note right here is called an enharmonic note. It has two names, just like I have two names. I actually have three names. So I don't know what your middle name is, but I always ask my student, what's your middle name? Because it's really interesting, and they're always beautiful middle names. But this has two names right here. This is E, F, F sharp, and then to G. If I'm going up, if I'm coming down, it's G, G flat, or F. So this can be an F sharp or a G flat. It has two names. It's called an enharmonic note. Okay, so just a real quick lesson on B to C and E to F and the rainbow rule. I'll see you next time.